I'm going to say what I need to say. Allow Spirit to live me, breathe me, speak me, think me into being. Here we are. It doesn't even matter if anybody has heard any of the previous talks on the way of the wizard, but I'm playing with, for the umpteenth time, this Deepak Chopra's book, The Way of the Wizard. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. 20 spiritual lessons for creating the life that you want. And here I chose lesson number 11 because, anybody know why? It's November, month 11. I mean, like, why make it hard, right? It's just like 12 powers, 12 months. Okay, we're on the month of November, 11, elimination. Wow, how cool that we've been given the gift of elimination. Just imagine how constipated we'd all be walking around holding on to all this stuff, right? Because we haven't said what we wanted to say or needed to say, and we don't even have to say it out loud, but allowing ourselves to be the flow of life, to be the living, loving truth. What we talk about in unity is the Christ presence, Christ consciousness, and we're not talking about Jesus Christ. We're talking about Christine Christ and everybody Christ and, right? The truth of who and what we are. And they're just words. And sometimes we get stuck on these definitions and we're so holding steadfast in it. And I love how cool the power of elimination, that we can just let go of all that no longer serves us so that we can have something new. We don't have to keep spinning in circles. And so I like to use everything for my growth and upliftment. And 12 powers is one of those things. We start with faith and we end with life and everything in between. If we really believe in life, we wouldn't need anything else. But how beautiful it is that we have these reminders, these tools. Can anybody here name the 12 powers in a row starting in January? Woo! Okay, bring it. When? Okay. Cool, Gwen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Turn it over. Will. What's that? Zeal. Elimination in life. The cool thing is, they're all tools that we have to apply so that we are walking, breathing examples of what we're talking about. Because talking gets us nowhere. We have to put action to our words and be love in action. And so here we are on lesson number 11, happens to be one of my all-time favorite subjects, alchemy. Alchemy, the art of transformation. We are all alchemists. You know, the wizard teaches alchemy. And alchemy simply is the art of transformation. And the truth is that we are all alchemists. And this whole life, we are transforming ourselves back to the origin of a blessing, back to the original blessing that we are. And if we don't know that, great. Here we are, and here's another opportunity to know that we are made from an original blessing, that we are created as and from the origin of a blessing. And so we have this tool called alchemy, where we change base metals into gold. And gold happens to be the metal that cannot be corrupted. And I think that's so awesome, you see, because we talk about that in New Thought and New Age. that we, as an original blessing, could not ever have been corrupted, but we think we are. But when we know that it's impossible to actually do anything to change the truth of who we are, things have just been added, layers have been put upon our souls. But the art of transformation brings us back through this process of peeling away all of these layers on our soul so that we get back to the timeless, clear, beautiful core that we are, which is an original blessing. Gold, solid gold. There's so many stories, the Buddha that was covered in mud and stone so that it wasn't stolen, and then all of a sudden it gets chipped away. You all know that story? It gets chipped away, and under there is a solid Buddha. Well, here we are. Arthur is now living with Sir Hector and Kay, and he goes out one day. He's kind of bullied, okay? He's not accepted for who he is. They kind of bully him and chastise him and burden him with all kinds of things. And he goes out to a grove, and he's sitting there with this old pitcher made out of lead, a water pitcher. He's sitting there contemplating this pitcher out in the grove of trees, and Kay comes out, one of his sidekicks, comes out, and he says, "What are you doing out here? Did you steal that pitcher?" And Arthur says, "No, I just borrowed it because I'm practicing." Practicing what? I'm practicing alchemy. Ooh, Kay gets interested in that because he knows, oh my gosh, if I could learn alchemy, we could be one of the richest families in the land. "Can you teach me alchemy?" he asks Arthur. Probably the first nice thing he's ever said to him. And Arthur says, "Well, of course." So Kay sits down, and Arthur's staring at the lead pitcher. And Kay notices impatiently that Arthur has his eyes closed, and the pitcher's right there, and he waits and waits. 15 minutes later, Arthur opens his eyes, and Kay says, "You're a fraud. That pitcher is the same as it was 15 minutes ago." And Arthur says, "I know. Well, of course. That's just a reminder. I'm the one who needs to be changed into gold." And that's the whole lesson. That it isn't about these outer things. Here we are at the season of outer things, right? Like buy this, buy that. We have to tune in and turn within. Every time we're going to spend money on something, this is a beautiful invitation, isn't it? Are your ears open? That we have to be clear about what we are buying into, what we are purchasing, what we say we need. Really? I'm not dissing material things, okay? I'm just asking us to wake up to a higher level of knowing so that we're not spending our energy, which all money is energy, right? Everything is energy. I'm not spending my thoughts or my money or anything that I have without tuning into my wisdom and asking, is that company consciously in alignment with my values? Is that where I want to shop? Is that what I want? Is that what I want to eat? Is that what I want to drink? That is the art of transformation. All of this is the art of transformation. There's nothing that's not. We have to be wise enough to be willing to stop focusing on how do I look today, and rather turn it around and ask, how deep am I willing to look? Right? We can play with all of these questions. We can play with anything that has ever been and see the good in it. If we stop and pause and ask ourselves, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And how do I think that I will get back to this beautiful original blessing that I am? But see, we first have to even have the idea that we believe that's true. When we moved from the age of the wizard, Merlin says, when we were moving from the age of the wizard into the age of what we call New Age, is the same thing as the age of reason. Well, guess what? When we moved into the age of reasoning, we thought that alchemy was impossible. Reasoning was the only way. If it's not logical, it's not true. What if everything is true to some degree to be used for our good? So when we move from one age to another, and we moved into the new age, we don't have to leave it all behind. There are gifts in it. Because I know that when I left Christianity, traditional Christianity, back in my late teens, because I was so confused, because I thought, what, brimstone, fire, hell? Oh my God, what feels like hell is believing that. That's what felt like hell to me. And then I thought, I spent a time with nothing because there wasn't anything for me to believe in. But something was calling me. And that's the life impulse that I believe was calling me. And for a time, I threw the baby out with the bathwater. I threw the baby out. But guess who the baby is? Me. And so is it no wonder that we feel disconnected so often? We feel lost and alone. We feel like there's no way, and we're feeling despondent and despair, and why there's such a huge number of people that are depressed. You would think, wouldn't you, that moving into new age, new thought would bring us into a place of being happier? But in fact, I believe, and I just got this right now, I believe that it's because we left it all behind that something's missing in our souls. Our souls are calling and urging us and pushing us and prodding us. I get my grandma nudging me in the ribs all the time. You know, she passed a long time ago, but she's here. And she reminds me and she tickles me and presses me in the ribs when I'm falling asleep. Oh no, honey, don't go to sleep. It's all good, it's all right here. And I'm like, really, Grandma? It seems so nice to be over there with you, where there are no problems and conflicts. And I'm like, you know what? This is what the alchemist says. There is no separation between me and you. There is no world out there. And so the charge is, the invitation is, the opportunity is that each one of us sitting here today awakens to the truth of who and what we are so that we can create a world that works for everyone. And it's not about anybody else creating that world. We are the authority. We are the authors of our own life. So we get to do it. I used to see that as a burden. Oh, really? This just doesn't seem like a happy place to be. We get to do this? But I'm looking at it and I'm going, you know what? If I am made from the origin of a blessing, if I am an original blessing, I bet you, if I get back to that core truth, I will be content wherever I go. How about that? What would that feel like? And so I might have shared this before, but Sonny always pops in my head. Sonny's a guitar player in Unity of Chattanooga. And he said to me about a year ago, Reverend Christine, I'd like to see you on Tuesday. Are you the same as you are on Sunday? I'd like to see how different you are. And I said, you know what? I like ease and grace and joy and glory, Sonny, so I'm going to be the same. You know, like, why have to be different on Sunday morning than I am on Tuesday morning? So there's nothing to track, right? If we live in truth, there's nothing to keep track of. We don't have to memorize anything. It helps to memorize them because affirmations don't work by themselves. We can say something over and over and over again, and inside going, God, I don't really believe that. I wish I believed that. So I turned that into, for myself, ooh, what if I did believe it? What if I believed it? What would that feel like? Because whatever we need to do to make it easy for ourselves, do it. We each are these unique expressions, and what resonates with me is not always going to resonate with the next person. But the invitation is, like I said to Ben when they were rehearsing, go ahead, own the song, make it yours. Who cares what the artist who wrote it, how they sang it? It's all beautiful, but it's going to come through each one of us as a soul signature, right? No accident that we all have different thumbprints, fingerprints. It's like, that's the one thing that is so unique about us. But as the original blessing, we all come from the same place. And so Deepak offers this beautiful exercise that I've done, and I found it just exquisite. And it is, take some time, maybe not right now, and who knows, maybe later. Imagine with your eyes closed, doing this exercise, that you have this scroll that opens up before you. And this is your whole life. And we start with this moment right now. And just slowly take yourself back through the different times in your life and all the way back, all the way to being in the womb. And some people get stuck trying to imagine that. I don't remember. Well, who's saying I don't remember? You must be aware of it, because here we are saying, I don't remember. So you just keep allowing yourself to go back, all the way into the womb. And then you go beyond that, beyond conception, and into the universe when you were just like a particle floating around, this single atom with its own nucleus floating around before you attracted that other atom that became a chemical, that became a cell, that tissue and an organ in a body. All the way back as far as you can go. And then go from this place all the way to the future. Well, who is doing all of this? Does the awareness go away? Isn't that cool? I mean, who's thinking that and remembering that? Someone is. Something is. And it doesn't go away, and it doesn't die. It's that awareness that is constant, that doesn't go away. It's kind of nice to know that we really can't get this wrong. That the more we do our contemplative work and our introspection and taking time in the silence, and you don't have to sit down formally and do that. Just be consistently open. Oh, I'm aware that I'm not feeling so good right now. And I don't know how many of you were with your precious beloved family for Thanksgiving, if anybody had any triggers come up. But I flew out of Birmingham last Monday and flew to Burbank, California. And then I was with my mom and drove to San Diego and was on this journey, arrived yesterday around 2 a.m. here in Birmingham. And I will tell you something that some of you don't know, and that is that I received this call from Spirit to go take care of my mother. Did I say this here from the platform? No. Okay. So 6 months ago or so, when I was visiting California, I heard the call clearly that it was my job to go take care of my mom at this time in her life. And, I could have used my logic to get out of that. What? That's so silly. Me? Really? I have 3 siblings with houses and spouses and room for mom, and she would have to sell her house and move. But I heard when I got on the plane to come back the end of May, I was so filled with peace. And the peace never went away. It's like that peace that passeth all understanding. I just knew it was mine to do. So I stayed with it because I said, I want to make sure this isn't ego or obligation or any of that other monkey stuff. I'm going to sit in the silence with it. And it was here at Unity of Birmingham on June 4th when I was speaking. I had just come back from California. I didn't say a word. I sat in my prayer and contemplation, just saying, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, I'm just going to keep staying open to this. And I ran into one of my favorite families here that's 4 generations, and they were all here that day. And I walked up to Joe after the service, and I hadn't even mentioned my mother. And Joe looks at me, and he goes, Reverend Christine, how's your mom? And he has his hand on his mother's shoulder, sitting in the wheelchair right back there. And little Aurora, great-granddaughter's crawling around on the ground. And I say to Joe, wow, Joe, I haven't said this out loud, but I'm answering the call to Spirit. I'm going to take care of my mom. I'm going to take a leave of absence. And he started to cry with his hand still on his mother's shoulder. And he said, Reverend Christine, that's beautiful. And I know that's the right thing to do. You see, my mom cries still after 2 years that we had to have her sell her house and come live with us. And I just said, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Validated every time I turn around that this is the right thing to do. And so, to me, this beautiful transformation happens when we stay open to Spirit. And so here I was. I will go back to when I just arrived last Monday in California. You see, I was just all, woohoo, yes, I'm following Spirit, and this is going to be easy, peace, that's me. I'm going to just be love. And I showed up, and I was crying within 2 hours. Like, really? God, do I laugh at myself or chastise myself or judge myself? And I'm like, whoa, Christine, this is a big change. This is a big change I've committed to. Can I love myself a little bit more in this moment? Can I love my mother a little bit more in this moment? We are like oil and water. It's like, really, God? You're funny. Well, Spirit is funny, you know? Like, so perfect. Because I didn't fight those feelings, you see. I allowed them. I allowed them, and I did what I needed to do for myself so I could get through that to a different place, which was not pain and suffering. That's what alchemy is all about. It helps us transform and let go of the struggle and the strife and the pain and the suffering and the disease and the illness and all that stuff so that we could get back to the core of who we are, which is love. And so my 5 days with my family, which there were over 40 of us at a family reunion at my sister's in San Diego, was so beautiful. And it wasn't without these moments, but I didn't let the moments live me. I was full of life in the moment, choosing to let go and use the power of elimination to let go of all that no longer serves me and know that, and my mother and I are having more communication. It's more honest and more open, and she hasn't always been comfortable with that. I'm not forcing that on her because we know that struggle comes from us wanting something out there to be different. And I'm like, no, she's perfect, and so am I. And this whole journey, this whole quest to perfection, what alchemy talks about is that here we are on this quest to our perfection. The truth is we are already perfect, whole, and complete, born and created from the origin of a blessing. We are, as this beautiful song that the band's going to sing right now, we are love. We are one. We are each the alchemists in our own life. We are the wizards choosing to transform our lives at each moment of our life, to be the one, to be the love. And so at this most perfect and precious time, I will say to you that December 17th is going to be my last time speaking here before I take an indefinite leave of absence. And what I think is so cool about the indefinite leave of absence is that it's all open. Everything is open. I thought I was going to resign, and the colleague said, hey, you could take a leave of absence. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. And here I am taking a leave of absence with John Scott. Some of you have met him, coming in as a spiritual coordinator at Unity of Chattanooga. What is for the highest good of one is only always for the highest good of all. Always for the highest good of all. And we're the ones that have to know that. If we want to see a transformed world, we need to be the transformers, the transformees, and doing the transformation. We are love, we are one. Yes, please, come, sing it. The message is coming all the time, right? It's like you could just have music here if we listen to the words. That is all we need. Yeah. Namaste.